Good morning. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Come on with us to Acts 27. We're going to have a part 2 of what we talked about yesterday. It's the account of Paul in the shipwreck. Yesterday I titled the video Paul's Survival Guide. We're going to kind of talk about the same thing today. Verse 15, it says, "So when the ship was caught and could not head into the wind, we let her drive." Verse 17, it says that they struck sail. In thinking about the storms of life, sometimes, and we need to understand what's going on, by the way, actually in the account, they could not fight against the waves. They could not fight against the wind. The more they fought against it, the more they lost. So they had to turn everything. They had to simply, as it says, let her drive. Namely, the storm's going to take them where the storm's going to take them. And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to just hold on, because some things you cannot control. And you have to play the cards that you're dealt, and you have to do the best that you can do, and the storm is not over yet, and you just have to hold on. They let her drive. Sometimes we have to do the same thing. Verse 17, it says, when they had taken it on board, talking about the skiff that they're going to cut away later, it says they used cables to undergird the ship. They would actually take cables and they would actually run them underneath the ship, because the ship was starting to come apart below the surface. And we need to understand what's happening below the surface is more important actually than what's happening above the surface. And we have to shore things up below deck. Now that's easier to do when there's not a storm outside. But we need to understand the storm is what was causing this problem. And they had to get things shored up. And we have to do the same thing. Sometimes we focus on things up top, and we need to focus on things down below, namely the inner man. Think about it. Verse 20 now, it says, they saw neither sun nor stars for many days, and no small tempest beat on us. All hope that we would be saved was finally given up. When we finally give up and we lose all hope, very often, what is it that happens? When we finally lose hope, and all of a sudden we find out just how much power the Lord actually has. Because here they are. They've all given up. And what has been happening in the meantime? You might notice verse 23, Paul says, "For there stood by me this night an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve, saying, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must be brought before Caesar, and indeed God has granted you all those who sail with you.'" They had all given up hope, and unbeknownst to them, below deck there was an angel of the Lord on that ship. And Paul had been praying, and he had not just been praying for himself, he had been praying for them as well, and God said, "I'm granting you them too." And not one of them was going to lose their life. They were going to lose the ship, but there would be no loss of life. You want to talk about beautiful verses further on down, and I'd encourage you to read the whole account. Verse 35. It says, after all these things happened, it says, "And when he had said these things, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And when he had broken it, he began to eat. They were all encouraged and also took food themselves." Read the account to understand what's going on. Paul took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And you might think about, as he says, "the God to whom I belong and I serve." Who do you belong to? Who do you serve? Hope you enjoyed this study today. God bless you. Be a blessing to others. We'll see you tomorrow.